Hi, everybody. If you don't remember me, I'm AT. Third presentation. And I picked a miter attack matrix technique for presentation. I picked privilege escalation through PowerShell profiles. So basics, what is privilege escalation? You're trying to go from a user account to an administrator account, get more permissions, use those to do more damage, perhaps. What is persistence? This also works for getting persistence. It ensures that an adversary retains access to the machine after their initial connection. What is a PowerShell profile? So similar to a .bashrc in Linux, PowerShell has a script that it runs whenever it starts that executes commands. This is located usually in your system at profile.ps1 in your PowerShell stuff, but there'll be more on that later. Different programs that host PowerShell terminals will also have different profiles. There also exists a universal profile that can be edited by an administrator. So how can this be accused? If a program is using a non-permission locked file, that profile can be edited to run arbitrary code. If an administrator runs this, that code is then run with administrator permissions. If no profile is being used, an adversary can create a profile in the place where the environment variable checks, and that will be run. There are 4 default locations described by Microsoft for this, and in order, it checks them. So if the first one doesn't exist, it checks the second. If the second doesn't exist, it checks the third, etc. And the last 2 are not locked by permissions, so you can create and edit those, and it will automatically run them. You can also check whichever one it's using by just checking the profile environment variable. Amusingly enough, this is in users' documents, so wherever you have your documents set up, you can just make this file. So if an adversary edits or creates a profile that an administrator runs, either directly or through an elevated program, the adversary can escalate. If anyone runs a profile, it can be used for persistence. So on some machines, script execution is disabled by default. So if an adversary already has escalated, they can enable script running and then have the script run every time the PowerShell window starts. So I have a quick demo for this, which is just a YouTube video I did of it. Yep. So I just wrote up a really quick Python script. Yeah, it's fine. I can talk on it. I wrote up a really quick Python script that basically hosts a PowerShell profile. I then so you see, I just made it do. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I just made it do like a funny message at the beginning, and then when I edit the PowerShell profile to run a command and then run the file, it also runs the command.
Buffer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of lit.
Um,
I know we really should, but.
well, if you do, that's interesting.
Doug the Miro. Wipe over. Yeah. This is Enzo DeStefano's.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah. So that works also. So I used a very specific location for it, and I mentioned that location when I wrote the program. Normally, you would go to one of the default locations that Windows checks when you just outright open a PowerShell console. So for a real-world example, there are actual people who have used this technique. Miter named Turla, a Russian hacking agency, that used this for persistence. So how do we stop this? Well, Windows has a feature called execution policy, which sets system-wide restrictions on which PowerShell scripts can and cannot be run. I went through this. There are a few different options, but the default, I think, is restricted, which means this doesn't work initially. However, systems that are running it, that run PowerShell scripts in general, generally lift this. And of the 2 people I queried, who were my roommate and Dan, both of them had it enabled. if it's not feasible to restrict all scripts, you can make sure that the profile files themselves aren't editable by non-admins. So basically, lock them behind an admin wall so that they can't be edited. Another mitigation tactic, which is probably the best one, is to set the execution policy to only signed profiles, which requires that all scripts that are run be verified. If a script is modified, its signature will change and it won't be run. This means that you can have your scripts that you want and not have to worry about them being maliciously edited. So detection, this is fairly easy because a lot of the locations are static. They're already documented. So since they're static, you can just look at those specific locations to see whether or not anybody's editing them. You can also, as MITRE recommends, monitor PowerShell for unusual commands and drivers, and then just look for execution of unknown programs. These are the sources I used. Thank you. And questions?
So you need to have an administrator account run the profile for you to get like elevated privileges, or like if I say my normal user on like a domain.
You would need an administrator account already, but you don't have to be an administrator to make this. So if an administrator is already running a program with administrative privileges, and that program is using a non-administrator locked profile, then you can get privileges through that.
Okay. Oh, so you can like change which profile the administrator uses?
Could, probably, yeah. That would be a small edit.
Okay.
And as the last thing, this was a surprisingly easy presentation to research. And I figure I could probably do a lot of these. And what a better thing to do than do a lot of them with freshmen or people who don't normally present. So if people want to present and they want something that, yeah, they want something that they can do fairly easily but is still very educational, that's interesting.
Oh.
And,
Oh, that's trippy.
huh.
All right.
I'm going to assume the stream is still going. So if you want something that's relatively easy to present on, and you want to do maybe just a little bit of research, help me out with a demo, contact me, present with me. This was really fun and surprisingly easy. Just pick a MITRE attack technique and do a demo with me. Thanks.
That's a good suggestion.
You did it. You get the anarcho-communist slides. I know.
Awesome.
It's kind of a nerd.
No, we have a surprise talk. What? From who? Who can you guess?
Manual, shocker.
It's a manual.
Go to C2, John.
Play Manuel.
Oh, I'll sit. I have my capstone. I need to implement some C2 features, bro.
My coat.
Rumble.
My
Who's
laptop.
rumbling? Let's get ready to rumble.
They get really shaky too sometimes.
Me when I figure out Evan.
Oh, Justin, you trying to scare us?
Okay, but tell me that these slides are not anarcho-communist flag.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hold on, Justin.
Sorry for the distraction.
How could you?
Perfectly fine.
We were really confused for a second. I was like, someone's probably messing with me.
Yeah, no, it's completely my
Oh
fault.
no, it's an earthquake.
It was perfectly timed. Yeah, no, he tried to stop me too, and I was like, no, I wanted to press this button. Pressing the button.
Whoa.
All right. No, come on,
Yeah,
one's
we're
already
on.
moving.
How can